Welcome to Pete and Hannah's Watchlist. I'm your host, Pete Mitchell, and we're here today for We Interrupt Regular Programming, our TV podcast. On today's show, we're going to continue our look at Sugar, also The Sympathizer starring Robert Downey Jr., and we're going to look at the new Disney Plus show and Hulu in the States starring Elizabeth Olsen, The Veil. But before we begin, I'm going to tell the listeners and the viewers what you should do. Like, follow, subscribe all our content, hit the notification button, and you'll get great content like this one. Don't forget to leave a comment on what you are watching and what you want to see on the channel. Don't forget, we've got a live stream coming up on the movies of the year 2000 where we'll be drafting our favourites. But let's get on today's show and let's take a look at Sugar, which we continue to look at, which is on Apple TV Plus, and episode 5, we're up to episode 5 or 6. So Sugar has found the headquarters of the sex ring. He thinks he's going to find Olivia, but turns out it is a trap, and they have been tipped off. Sugar gets beaten up, but he warns them that he's going to take them out, but before he can, he gets stabbed, and Sugar is in a lot of trouble. He ends up taking out a lot of people, but then he finds out that someone that in his inner circle has turned on him. I love that, they're still splicing together things here, and they're splicing, Cape Fear in this one. They've got, the hate tattoo on his knuckles. David, in the last episode, tried to commit suicide. It turns out that he's not dead, but he is on life support system, and he'll never be able to speak or never be able to live a normal life again. And his parents have to make the tough decision of pulling the plug. Bernie tells his father, Jonathan Siegel, that's what's going to happen, and he tells a story of how he was in Vegas with his son, and they were playing craps and ended up being up $40,000, and everything was going great, but he never had the heart to tell him that, gambling like that is just one fluke, and he was in tears, and his dad tried to console him, but he knows that David was going to die. Sugar drives out from the second house. He hasn't found Olivia. He calls Melanie, and he falls into Melanie's arms. She calls a friend of Sugar's. He comes and he gives Sugar this mysterious blood that's got stuff in it, and then Sugar's fine after that. And he's he was on death's door. He goes over to Ruby's house, and he asks her a question about how did they know that he was coming, and it turns out Ruby tipped them off. Ruby apologizes. Sugar asks for some aspirin, and it was a test, and she fails, and then so Sugar knows that he's all by himself. And then we get the last scene where Sugar looks in the mirror and he's blue. Oh man, this show just took a turn. I'm gonna watch it next week just to find out what that is. If he's I don't know, alien or a cyborg or something. I don't know, AI or something. But yeah, I was really enjoying the noir aspects of this, but yeah, it's a sci-fi show now, so yeah. I don't know. We'll have to find out what's going on next week on Sugar, and we'll tell you if we keep going. 8 episodes, so I think there's 2 to go, so yeah. The next show we're going to talk about is The Veil, which is on Hulu in the States, and is on Disney Plus in Australia. It stars Elizabeth Olsen, West Wing, Mad Men, Handmaid's Tale. It also is created and written by Stephen Knight, who did the movie Eastern Promises. He also did a movie called Serenity, starring Anne Hathaway and Matthew McConaughey, which had a really weird twist ending. Directed by Dana Reed. She used to do Full Frontal with Eric Bana, and now she's a TV director. She's worked with Elizabeth Olsen on a few shows like The Shining and Handmaid's Tale, and so she directs this TV show. It also stars Josh Charles, who is, stars in The Good Wife. He's in stars in many TV shows. He was in a season of In Treatment as well. The show starts off with an arrest by the main character of the show, Imogen Salter, who's played by Elizabeth Olsen. She is working for French counterintelligence. She's looking for a person called Aldea, and she has been strung up in a refugee camp because she's said to be a member of ISIS. And Imogen is brought to the camp, and she's searching for someone, and that is Aldea. And so she's pretending to be like an NGO doctor. Finds Aldea, how they have conversations, says, look, the only way you're going to get out of here is with me. She doesn't really want to trust her, but she does. They end up having to fight their way out. They had to bribe a dodgy UNHCR worker, and then they start driving, and they're having a conversation about family. They're having a conversation about her child, and all this is about foiling a terrorist attack that we don't know if Aaliyah has something to do with it. There's also this thing with the red dress. And yeah, so that was the first episode. I'm intrigued. Elizabeth Olsen speaks with a British accent in this one. It's growing on me. It was a bit of a shock at the start, but yeah, I can see me liking this show. It's definitely like one of those spy shows, which if you have watched the show before, you know that I'm a big fan of, and I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Olsen. I really loved her in Invisible Man, and I was really hoping she was going to have a film career, but her last couple of films haven't worked out. She was in Next Goal Wins, which I did like, and she was really good in it with the small role that she did have, but we will find out in the late 8 episodes, and hopefully The Veil turns out to be a good show. The last show that we're going to talk about is The Sympathizer. And last week, Robert Downey Jr. Was playing 4 characters at once, and we were sitting around a table, and the captain was told that he has to work on a film and give it the Vietnamese perspective. And the movie was called The Hamlet, and the show starts with the captain talking to the director about the Hamlet in his home, and he's saying, like, mate, this isn't for real. So the captain wants to give the Vietnamese perspective, and he talks to the general, and he's talking to everyone that, you're going to have to go and work on this film. And so he drives, and then he finds out that the general's daughter has stowed away in the trunk. And so he gets there, and then he starts secretly putting actual words of, like, communism sympathizers into people's mouths. He gets all these Vietnamese people to play. They work out what he's trying to do. Sort of like, he says, no, it's part of the script, but he's writing the script. And then you have, like, actors being totally method. You have Robert Downey Jr. being so silly as a director. David Duchovny plays the method actor. And the method actor, he goes absolutely wild. He's, like, gun-toting. He's shot a deer. He cuts a deer's head off. He leaves in the director's bed. They write it into the script about a rape scene, and he looks like he's going to actually rape the general's daughter. This is an intense episode, and the captain is shocked about how the production design of the movie is actually reminds me of his home. He also brings up feelings about his mother, where he wasn't there for her. He was in America when she died, and that, they do a gravestone in the fake graveyard, and then actually she puts the details. The brother comes, and he's really enjoying the movie business. He's getting an outlet for his anxieties, but the captain gets kicked off set, and because he ruined a take, and he was worried about the General's daughter, and you can see that he's having feelings for the General's daughter. And then we go back to the camp where he is telling the story, rewriting his book / movie, and they ends up with singing a song, and that's the end of the next episode of Sympathizer. I think we've only got 2 episodes left of this show, so we're fast coming to the conclusion. I'm still loving this show. Park Chan-wook, Robert Downey Jr., really cooking, and I'm really enjoying this show. And a couple episodes to go. That is it for today's show. Don't forget, tomorrow we have What's Next, and we're going to be reviewing Boy Kills World. We're also going to have a look at some streaming movies, The Idea of You, which is on Amazon Prime now, and we're also going to have a look at Unfrosted, which is the new Jerry Seinfeld movie, which he's his first directing job. So, that is it. With long week on the channel. We've got heaps of content. Not only What's Next, but we have movie news, and we have AFI Top 100. This week, it is All the President's Men. So that should be a good episode as well. Thanks to everyone for listening and watching. Until tomorrow, when we catch up for What's Next, the show where we help you figure out what to watch next. I'm your host, Pete Mitchell, and it's bye for now.